Shopping for a new monitor puts you in a very uh, weird psychological space. Like you are staring at a screen, trying to figure out if you should buy a different screen to look at the exact same things you're looking at right now. Just better.
Right. It is a very meta experience. You're using your old tech to judge new tech.
It really is. And when you pull up a product page and see a massive discount, it instantly triggers that skeptical part of your brain. You wonder, like, is this the deal of the century, or am I about to buy a complete piece of junk?
Yeah, that skepticism is totally warranted.
So today, we are answering that exact question for a piece of tech that might literally be sitting in your shopping cart right now. We're doing a deep dive on the Samsung 27-inch Odyssey G5 G53F QHD gaming monitor.
It is a fascinating piece of hardware to analyze, mostly because the price drop is, well, significant. We are looking at a monitor that launched with a list price of $249.99, and it's currently sitting heavily discounted at $159.99.
Which is a huge cut. I mean, nearly $100 off.
Exactly. On paper, it is offering premium features for an entry-level price. But to figure out what you are actually getting for that $159, we are bypassing the glossy marketing brochures.
Yeah, no marketing spin here.
Right. We have the official spec sheet, but more importantly, we have a stack of 211 real, verified customer reviews from the Amazon product page.
The ultimate reality check, honestly. I mean, Samsung can tell us how perfect the mathematical specifications are, but the people who actually spent their hard-earned cash are the ones who find out that, the cables don't fit right or the menus are a complete nightmare.
Setting the baseline here, the broader consensus is overwhelmingly positive. Out of those 211 reviews, the monitor holds a solid 4.5 out of 5-star rating.
Oh, wow, that's really high.
Yeah, and a full 75% of users give it a perfect 5 stars. We are talking about over 1,000 units bought just in the past month. People are definitely jumping on this deal.
But there's a but coming.
Right. There is. When you dig into the text of those reviews, the 1-star and the 5-star reviews alike, a very clear pattern emerges. The value is absolutely there, but there are some hidden hurdles and physical compromises you have to navigate to unlock it.
Let's start with the reason over 1,000 people hit the Buy Now button this month.
Yeah.
Like, why are people upgrading to this specific monitor in the first place?
Reading through the stack, it really comes down to finding that ultimate sweet spot in screen technology. We are talking about a 27-inch display running at 1440p.
Right, that specific combo.
Yeah, that combination, 27 inches and 1440p, is currently the holy grail for a lot of desktop setups. The spec sheet notes this resolution gives you 1.7 times the pixel density of a standard 1080p monitor.
Which is a massive quality of life upgrade.
Right.
If you are still sitting in front of a 1080p screen, especially a larger one, you know that feeling of the image just looking, I don't know, a little soft.
And like pixels are stretched out?
It's exactly stretched out like Lego bricks. Jumping to 1440p feels like your eyes finally just relax. Everything snaps into sharp focus. But you also aren't paying the massive GPU tax that comes with a 4K display.
That is the critical balancing act right there. A 4K monitor looks gorgeous, but pushing that many pixels requires a high-end, wildly expensive graphics card.
Yeah, especially if you want smooth frame rates in modern games. You'd need a supercomputer.
Right. 1440p sits right in the middle. It gives you incredible sharpness on a 27-inch canvas without requiring that massive rig to run it. A user named Alejandro C. actually highlighted this exact point in his review.
Oh yeah, I remember his review. He was playing on a console, right?
Yeah, he mentioned that 27 inches is the ideal size for his setup, and the monitor handles everything from hyper-fast competitive games to visually dense, story-driven games flawlessly, and that's even when he just plugs in his basic PlayStation 5.
And it's not just the sharpness we're talking about here. It is the color. This Odyssey G5 uses an IPS panel. And, anyone who has suffered through a cheap VA panel knows the pain.
Oh, the color wash.
Yes. You lean back in your chair and suddenly you're watching all the colors on your screen wash out into this muddy gray. It's the worst.
IPS panels solve that color shift problem entirely. They offer a 178-degree viewing angle, meaning the image remains completely consistent whether you are slouching, standing up, or looking at it off-center.
That's a huge deal for a desk setup.
It is. But beyond the viewing angles, it is really about the vibrancy and the precision of the hues.
You can really feel that enthusiasm in a review from a user named Cam. Cam upgraded to this Odyssey G5 from an older 1080p monitor they had been using since like 2021.
And they were pretty impressed, right?
They were absolutely blown away by the color accuracy. They talked about playing the team shooter Marvel Rivals and suddenly noticing all these tiny, intricate details on the character skins.
Stuff they just couldn't see before.
Literally had never seen before because their old monitor was just bleeding the colors together and blowing out the contrast.
When you combine that IPS color accuracy with the crispness of 1440p, it completely changes the visual hierarchy of whatever you are looking at.
Right, so you can actually spot things better.
Exactly. You can pick out a character hiding in shadows, or read small text on a spreadsheet without eye strain. It is a fundamental upgrade to how you interact with your computer.
But, okay, here is the catch. You pull this gorgeous, color-accurate panel out of the box, plug it in, boot up your favorite game, and something feels incredibly off.
Yeah, this is where the reviews take a bit of a turn.
Because according to these users, the out-of-the-box experience is basically a trap. You don't actually get the features you paid for until you go hunting for them.
This is where we get into the software quirks. If you look at the box this monitor ships in, Samsung advertises 3 elite performance metrics.
Okay, lay them on me.
You've got a 200 Hz refresh rate, a 1 millisecond response time, and AMD FreeSync Premium to prevent screen tearing.
Wait, those are the headline features. That is literally why someone buys a gaming monitor instead of a generic office display.
Right, but users like Logan and Mark Presto left reviews expressing massive frustration because they plugged the monitor in and it was permanently locked at 60 Hz.
Are you kidding? 60 Hertz.
Mark Presto explicitly warned other buyers about this. He could not get the monitor to display its advertised 200 Hz refresh rate on his PC.
That would drive me crazy.
Logan had a similar issue. He pointed out that not only is the refresh rate nerfed out of the box, but you also have to manually dig into the monitor's physical menu settings to turn on FreeSync Premium.
Wait, before your computer even recognizes it.
Exactly. Before your computer will even recognize that the monitor is capable of adaptive sync, you have to flip that switch in the hardware menu.
I have to ask, what is the logic there? If I buy a sports car advertised to go 200 miles an hour, I shouldn't have to flip a hidden switch in the glove box just to go over 60. Why on earth would Samsung bury the exact features they are using to sell the product?
It feels totally counterintuitive, I know. But there is a very deliberate engineering logic behind it. It all comes down to universal compatibility and, frankly, minimizing customer returns.
Minimizing returns by making the product worse out of the box.
Let me explain. Manufacturers often ship high-end displays in a lower, universally accepted safe mode.
Safe mode. Safe from what?
Safe from older hardware. Imagine someone buys this monitor and plugs it into a 5-year-old laptop using some outdated HDMI cable that simply doesn't have the bandwidth to carry a 1440p signal at 200 frames per second.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If Samsung shipped the monitor with the 200 Hz and FreeSync forced on by default, that user would plug it in and get a completely black screen. The two devices wouldn't be able to talk to each other at all.
And they would immediately assume the monitor is broken.
Precisely. They pack it right back up and return it to Amazon. By defaulting to 60 Hz without adaptive sync, Samsung guarantees that the monitor will turn on and display an image no matter what potato you plug it into.
Okay, so they are basically idiot-proofing the initial handshake between the monitor and the computer. They just want you to at least see your desktop first.
That's it, exactly. It is a stark reminder that buying hardware is only step 1. Configuring it is step 2. You have to be willing to act as your own IT department for the first 10 minutes.
Which is annoying, but I guess it makes sense.
And there is another crucial configuration hurdle buried in the menus that you have to watch out for.
Right. This brings us back to Alejandro C., the user who loved the monitor for his PS5. He left a massive warning for other buyers regarding that advertised 1 millisecond response time.
Yeah, this is a big one. The monitor offers different tiers of response time in its settings. To hit that 1 millisecond marketing claim, you have to push the setting to extreme.
But Alejandro says to avoid the extreme option at all costs. He says it creates terrible image ghosting and that you could stick strictly to the faster setting.
Which is really good advice.
So what is actually happening inside the panel when you switch it to extreme? Why is it ghosting?
This is a phenomenon known as pixel overdrive. The liquid crystals inside an IPS panel naturally take a few milliseconds to change from one color to another. It's just physics. To force them to change in just one single millisecond, the monitor's processor pumps a massive surge of extra voltage into the pixels. It is pure brute force.
Like slamming the gas pedal to the floor to get a car off the line?
Yes, great analogy. But when you do that, you risk overshooting. On the extreme setting, the monitor is pushing so much voltage that the pixels actually blow right past their intended target color, realize the error, and then have to rapidly snap back.
Oh, wow. So they overcorrect.
Exactly. To the human eye, this rapid high-voltage correction looks like a blurry, glowing trail smearing behind any fast-moving object on the screen. That is the ghosting people complain about.
So you dial it back to avoid that.
Yeah, by dialing the setting back to faster, you reduce that voltage. You might be getting a 3 or 4 millisecond response time instead of 1, but the image remains perfectly crisp without the blurry artifacts.
So the 1 millisecond claim is really just for the side of the box.
Yeah.
In the real world, you have to navigate this digital escape room of hidden menus. Flip on the 200 Hertz, activate FreeSync, and carefully back down the overdrive settings just to get the beautiful experience you paid for.
It requires a little bit of technical patience, absolutely. But once you have the software dialed in, you run into the second half of the budget monitor experience.
Right, the physical reality of a $159 piece of hardware. Because you look at the specs, 1440p, 200 Hertz, IPS color, and you realize Samsung had to cut corners somewhere to hit this price point.
They definitely didn't cut it from the screen itself, so the budget axe had to fall somewhere else.
And it fell heavily on the physical chassis and the stand. The compromises here are severe, and they're universally panned across the reviews.
Users like Carrie and an anonymous Amazon customer point out the most glaring omission. There is absolutely zero height adjustment.
None. You get a slight backward tilt, and that is your lot in life. If this monitor sits too low for your natural eye line, you are going back to the 1990s and stacking it on top of some old textbooks.
Which is a real ergonomic issue if you are sitting at your desk for 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the manufacturing economics, it makes perfect sense.
How so?
Well, a height-adjustable stand requires heavy metal tracks, internal springs or gas cylinders, and a much larger, thicker cardboard box to ship it all in. That adds weight, which drastically increases global shipping costs.
Ah, so a fixed stand is just cheap, injection-molded plastic that packs flat.
Exactly. It's purely a cost-saving measure.
And according to the reviews, even that cheap plastic struggles to do its job. We found some incredibly specific, honestly kind of funny complaints about the physical build quality.
Yeah, the cable management loop comes to mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
For instance, there is this small plastic loop on the back of the stand that is supposed to help you manage your power and display cables. A user named Jose Berenz noted that his arrived completely snapped off.
Just broken right in the box.
And Carrie mentioned that hers arrived broken as well, adding that, even if it wasn't broken, the plastic loop looks too flimsy to hold thick, modern display cables anyway.
It really speaks to the tolerances in the manufacturing, but the physical quirks extend to how you actually interact with the device every single day.
Oh, man. This might be my favorite detail from the entire stack of sources. We have to talk about the power button.
It's pretty unique.
A user going by Jay describes the combined power and menu button as an old Lenovo nipple button.
That paints quite the picture.
Right. It is this single, tiny plastic joystick located underneath the center of the monitor. Jay pointed out that it gets intensely annoying for daily use. Think about it. You're done working or gaming, the lights are off, and you're fumbling underneath the screen trying to flick this tiny plastic nub in the exact right direction just to turn the monitor off before bed.
It is a massive UX friction point. When you combine a flimsy stand, a broken cable loop, and a frustrating joystick menu, it can make the device feel really cheap, even if the screen itself is gorgeous.
And we haven't even talked about the setup process. We have to talk about poor Brent's unboxing experience.
Oh, right, the screws.
He left a review saying he was literally 5 minutes away from taping the box back up and returning the entire monitor. Why? Because the 2 tiny screws required to attach the monitor to the plastic stand were missing.
Or so he thought.
Right. He dumped out the box, checked everywhere. Turns out, Samsung had hidden them.
They weren't in a standard hardware blister pack.
Nope. They were inside a tiny transparent plastic bag, which was then hidden completely out of sight inside the larger plastic bag that held the instruction manual and the warranty paperwork. He checked the box 5 times before he happened to shake the paperwork bag and heard them rattling around.
Again, we're looking at the realities of a stripped-down packaging budget. Throwing the screws into the paperwork bag saves a fraction of a cent per unit on the assembly line.
It's just wild how much they optimize the cost.
But while we are on the topic of paperwork and warranties, we really have to look at the longevity of a budget panel. A user named Dylan left a pretty sobering review.
Oh, the dead pixels.
Yeah, he noted that he had a couple of dead pixels appear on his screen after just 1 month of regular use.
which is the nightmare scenario for any tech purchase. You think you scored a massive deal, and then 30 days later, there's a little black dot staring at you, ruining every dark scene in your favorite game.
It happens even with high-end panels, honestly. But it forces you to understand the warranty context of what you are actually buying. Amazon has a very strict 30-day return policy for electronics like monitors.
And they can be pretty harsh about it.
Very. They reserve the right to hit you with a 15% restocking fee if they feel the condition of the return is misrepresented.
So if Dylan noticed those dead pixels on day 31, he is locked out of the easy Amazon return window.
Exactly. At that point, you are relying entirely on the manufacturer. Samsung does provide a 1-year manufacturer warranty for this monitor, but, navigating a corporate warranty claim requires packing it up safely, shipping it off, and having the patience to wait weeks for a repair or replacement.
Okay, so let me try to synthesize all of this.
Yeah.
Buying the Samsung Odyssey G5 at this $159 price point feels a lot like buying a high-end, finely tuned sports car engine. But the manufacturer dropped that engine into a golf cart chassis.
That's a great way to put it.
The steering wheel is made of cheap foam, the doors rattle, and you have to hotwire it every time you want to start it. Does a flimsy stand, a frustrating nipple button, and a digital scavenger hunt for the right refresh rate actually ruin the experience? Or is it the ultimate life hack for getting a premium screen on a budget?
I would argue it is the ultimate life hack, provided you understand the specific nature of the compromises. This monitor is the very definition of targeted engineering.
Meaning they knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, definitely. Samsung clearly looked at their budget and decided to put 95% of the money into the IPS panel itself. They prioritized the one thing you are actually staring at for hours a day.
Right.
And what makes this deal truly compelling is that there is a massive escape hatch built into the design, one that many savvy users take advantage of. This monitor is VESA mount compatible.
Meaning there are 4 standard screw holes in the back of the monitor.
Exactly. You are not trapped with the cheap plastic stand.
Oh, I see.
The optimal move for a listener looking to upgrade might be to buy this monitor, completely ignore the included stand, literally just leave it in the box, and attach the screen to a universal gas spring monitor arm that clamps to the back of your desk.
That is brilliant. You essentially put a Rolex on a zip tie, but then you swap the zip tie out for a proper premium band.
Precisely. You bypass the biggest hardware flaw entirely, gaining full height, tilt, and swivel adjustment while still keeping that gorgeous 1440K panel.
It completely flips the value proposition. You are outsourcing the physical build quality to a third-party mount, allowing you to reap all the benefits of Samsung's aggressive price cut on the display technology itself.
Yep, it turns a compromised budget buy into a genuinely premium desk setup.
So bringing our deep dive to a close, let's look at the complete picture. The Samsung Odyssey G5 G53F is a product that actively rewards the informed buyer. Under the hood, it is an exceptional piece of visual technology.
It really is.
It is offering you vibrant, color-accurate, QHD visuals that won't wash out when you move your head. It gives you the smooth clarity of a 200 Hz refresh rate. But to get that engine purring, you have to be willing to roll up your sleeves.
A little bit of elbow grease.
Yeah, you have to navigate its tricky hidden software menus to unlock the speed, you have to hunt for hidden screws in the paperwork, and you have to forgive or entirely replace a less than stellar physical stand.
It is a phenomenal piece of targeted tech. But looking at the broader landscape, seeing formerly elite high-end specs like 1440p and 200 Hz refresh rates dropping down to a $159 budget price point, it leaves us with a fascinating question to mull over.
What's that?
As these numbers get higher and the prices get lower, are we approaching the biological limits of what the human eye can even perceive?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Can you, as a player, honestly feel the difference between 200 Hz and the new 300 Hz or 400 Hz monitors hitting the market? Or will the tech industry just keep inventing higher and higher numbers, pushing past human perception, simply to convince us to throw away perfectly good hardware and buy the next big thing?
That is a wild thought to take away. At what point are we actually upgrading our experience? And at what point are we just chasing bigger numbers printed on a cardboard box?
It's something to think about next time you see a spec sheet.
Absolutely. At the end, if you like the content, please subscribe, Smart Shop US, and share for more. Like and share, and if you'd like to buy this product, find the link in the description. Until next time, remember that the glossy spec sheet is only half the story. The real truth is always hidden in the fine print. Catch you on the next deep dive.